Hello, I'm Will Potter, and this is my 40% schematic design. So the problem that I want to tackle is declining rural downtowns and how we can make downtowns important assets to these communities again. I thought of this when I was working over the summer in a rural downtown area, and every day I'd noticed just the lack of foot traffic that this space has. They're important spaces, and they could be very big assets to this area if used in the right way. And unfortunately, many of these spaces are not being used in the right way. So my how might we statement is, how can we transform rural downtowns for rural residents so that it's a place where culture, community, and daily life intersect. Here's a map of building uses that informed some of my solutions to this problem. I had 3 important objectives for this project. One was a mingling of people in all 3 aspects of their day: work, sleep, and leisure. I wanted this building to be a true third space and wanted this to foster creativity. Some solutions to these problems would be some townhouses for the elderly, which would free up the housing market for young single young families who want single family housing, and also relieve the elderly of the burden of maintaining a large property and giving them an option to move into a smaller area. Also a food hall, which could create economic drivers for the lacking food industry in this town. We only have 1 restaurant, and there are some great cooks that would love to start their business. And a co-working space for the same reason. A place where young entrepreneurs can go to start a business without the overhead or the barrier of renting out an office or trying to make it work from home. And then also a plaza and public space to give this downtown a true third space, an all-season third space. The main reason for downtown decline is most likely that there's just less people living in these areas, but also because of the inelastic nature of these downtown areas. And hopefully this building type with all these solutions can make this building a little bit more elastic and roll with the changing population demographics of these areas. This building needs to act like a river delta, where it is the main, kind of taking all these problems and putting it into one spot where the solution can kind of reach out and maybe infect the surrounding areas with positive change that would come about from a single building, kind of trying to tackle all these things at once. Here are some things that influence my design. With the public outside area, it's important to take in consideration where the sun is and then what the views are from this area, from this plaza. There's a historic train station that the Amtrak still stops at down here in a park right here, where most of our foot traffic would be coming from. And then this road right here is a main north-south road that used to be the main one before the highway was put in. So a very important area that kind of takes both of these ideas and mixes them together. Here's the surrounding buildings. This facade is across the street, and it's important to make this building fit in with the surrounding context, obviously. But this type of 2-story multi-use building is common across small towns and is a great idea of how to maybe get this change going. Here's the view down the road towards the park on the right side, and then our train station and our rail line. That is an important part of the history of this town. And then this is our intersection of this main road here that most drivers would be getting driving up this road. Here's that physical context in a map about our foot traffic coming in our park, our train area, and then our main intersections here. This is US 6 that runs through the town, which is a very busy road. Here's my site plan. This plaza kind of opens up to these areas that I was talking about earlier. And then this squared off front is talking to the building across the street and keeping it in character here. An idea also is elevating the plaza to make it really focus on being a pedestrian building. So the development of this building comes in the form of drawings, and then just working through different iterations, different forms, kind of building footprints. This is just a crumpled piece of paper, but I kind of was looking at it as, how can I get this plaza to be a central area with maybe some higher elevated buildings that kind of hug this plaza and really give it like a safe feeling for the users. Here's a circulation diagram, kind of going back to our river delta idea of, we have this main area, this main drag where most of our traffic will be coming from, and then people can kind of split off, do their thing. The elderly can go into their townhouses, people can grab a bite to eat, or some young entrepreneurs can go upstairs, get their work done, or people can enjoy the views of the plaza. The form evolution of this was kind of like a subtraction form, where I was like kind of pulling out the areas for public use, with this first one being the large plaza, and then some areas for people to enjoy the views of the plaza with balcony space. Here's my first floor plan. Here is the north side is our living area. I wanted to separate these two because they're very different activities that need to work together. So having kind of like a divider, I thought was a good idea. Having a lot of seating was important due to this really trying to be a true third space. And then we have our food bays that are kind of like, they would be like a rest area type thing, but hopefully with local food. And then here's the second floor plan that is kind of similar, where we have our offices, our work is getting done, our quiet spaces on this north side, and then we got people maybe mingling or talking to each other, eating food over here. It was important for this area to be like a kind of like a grand space that is unassuming from the front, and that's why we got this cut out in the center. And yeah, thank you.